Am I the asshole for financially supporting my brother's kids behind his back? A bit of context first. A few years back my nieces confided in me, their aunt, of how difficult their life is in their household. How they don't get things like the other kids and all the chores they have. As soon as my nieces turned 14 they expected them to get jobs, babysitting, working at their parents' restaurant, and pay rent. Not the same amount as regular rent, but each of them was expected to pay $100 a month. Which I think is ridiculous and a completely unnecessary burden to place on kids, and also an unfair one since only my nieces are expected to live by this standard. While my brother, his wife, stepmom to my nieces, don't put these expectations on their other children. My brother and his wife are of the pull yourself by bootstraps mentality, but only with my nieces. The girls then told me that they were short on rent that month and if I could lend them money. I was completely pissed, but they begged me not to talk to their dad as it just would make their lives difficult if I did. So I decided to give them 2 cards in my name and put monthly money into the account for them to pay rent, buy themselves the necessaries, groceries, hygiene products, entertainment, clothes etc. And I put them on my family phone plan. We kept all of this secret. They are now both 17 and will be going college next year. Which I will be paying for since my brother refused to support them. A few days ago the girls got into an argument with their stepmom as she wanted them to share their car, which I got them as a birthday present, with the other kids, and it was a big one. Nieces said they'd call the police and report the car stolen if anyone other than them drove their car. My brother kicked them out and told them to move come morning if they were going to be that selfish. The girls called me and I drove down to pick them up. I guess while I was driving to them the girls went all out and cussed everyone out and a lot harsh words were exchanged. They also told them that they never got jobs and that I paid for their rent and other needs and that this would be the last time they ever spoke to them. When I arrived my brother was livid and accused me of brainwashing his daughters against him. Then the days that followed my father and other brother called me to tell me that I'm an asshole for supporting the girls behind everyone's back and that if I didn't interfere the girls would have learned their lesson and been back at home by now. My dad expected his kids to get jobs and pay our way, and by the time I was 16 I was paying rent, utilities, buying my own groceries etc., and so were my brothers. Was kicked out by 18, literally a week after my birthday, and I really struggled. Instead of my brother rejecting that parenting style for his daughters he reinforced it, but his wife won't allow him to do that to their kids. My niece's mother died due to an accidental overdose. She was addicted to prescription pills. I never contacted child services as they are useless. Someone did anonymously report them and it took social workers a whole year to check things out. When they did, all they did was confirm the kids weren't beaten, that food was in the house, clean clothing, and that they had bedrooms. The only reason I ever stayed in contact with my family was because I couldn't bear to leave the girls. Rent and jobs at 14? They needed a positive and supportive influence in their life, and you provided it. Not the asshole. Not the asshole X100. Bravo on you for protecting your nieces from an abusive home. Tell your father and brothers to fuck off, they ought to be ashamed. Not the asshole. But what the heck did I read? Why does your family hate your nieces? I'd go no contact with the lot of them as the heir Oz. Not the asshole. When the girls turn 18 you can legally adopt them and your brother can suck it. Thank God someone took care of them. Your family sounds nuts. My brother was livid and accused me of brainwashing his daughters against him. Not the asshole. The girls didn't need brainwashing to turn against him, he managed that all by himself. Not the asshole. Good on you for taking in your nieces. Your entire family sounds deranged and is treating those girls unfairly and setting them up for failure. What country culture is this happening in? Not the asshole. You are a fantastic aunt. Your brother and his wife, and your father and other brother, are all Oz. 14 and asking them to pay for rent? Absolutely not. Don't feel bad at all. All those adults should be ashamed of themselves for favoring the other kids over your nieces. They'll never talk to your brother again. They needed you and you had their backs. Imagine being 14 and scared that you have to find a way to get money for fear that your father and his wife will make your lives hell? They're awful people. You are such a great aunt and he's mad that he tried to make them suffer but they had back up. Not the asshole. I can't believe what I just read. How is this legal? Borderline forcing minors to pay rent? Report these people to CPS. Your brother has some nerve calling you names when you are providing shelter for their kids. Am I the asshole? For refusing to see if I am a match to donate my organ to my mill? So my mother-in-law, And I have always had a bad relationship as my husband has no siblings and my mill was very overbearing and did not respect normal boundaries, e.g. she wanted to wear white at my wedding, wanted to be in the room when I gave birth, demanded to have a say in our child's name, tried to have a say in which house husband, and I purchased and tell me how to decorate it etc. Anyway, my hub and I have been married for nearly 10 years and throughout all the demands above and lots more I always discussed my feelings with hub and then told my mill no and explained why I was saying no and why it wasn't appropriate for her to do. Ask and thus lay down clear boundaries. Over the years my mill had tantrums at me saying no. No one has ever said no to her before, and tried to go behind my back to emotionally manipulate my hub into letting her get her way. But my hub has always supported me and told her we discussed the issue privately and after hearing my feelings on the subject he understands why I am against it and he respects me and supports me 100%, so it's no and that's final. My mill however kept asking and had tantrums, actual tantrums, e.g. throwing things, screaming, and it was beginning to stress me out and affect my mental health, so I went no contact with her, only my hub would speak to her, she was not allowed in my house when I was there and hub would arrange to visit her at her home. My mill was diagnosed with an illness, won't say what to limit chance of indentity being found out, and needs a donor. She is on the transplant list but her doctor told her to ask family, friends to get tested to see if any matches to quicken search. If friends, non-blood family Vuliner. Try find a genetic match in her son EC. My hub did a test then asked me to do one and I refused. I told him no as even if I was a match I wouldn't not donate as one. As a mother I would never donate organs whilst I am live in case anything ever happened to my kids and they needed them. Although I plan to donate my organ when I die, and 2 going through this operation to donate could have fatal consequences for me. As when I gave birth I nearly died in surgery due to allergic reaction to anthostic and complications and I would not risk same thing happening again and risk leaving my kids without a mother. My hub understands my decision but when Mill found out she called me a selfish BTH. Am I the asshole? I do not want to die, which there is a very high chance I could if I am a match, and do not want to even do a test in case I am a match and Mill compromises my mental health by not respecting my no and nagging me constantly to change my mind like she did in past. Edit. My husband didn't pressure me when he asked we were having dinner and he brought up that he was going doctors next week to get tested and told me Mil's doc told her to ask people to get tested and asked if I was going to get tested when would I go, mainly so we could arrange childcare if he was working. When I told him no his response was, I am of course upset as that's my mum and the situation sucks, but you're my wife and your reasons are sound as I know it's risky for you and I would never want to lose you either and even if there was no risk and you simply said no I would support you as simply it's your body your choice. My Mill found out I refused as she called me directly to ask and I was honest and told her I would not be getting tested as if I was a match I would not be donating anyway as it was too risky for me and I would not risk leaving my children motherless and the only time I would ever undergo another surgery was if it was to save my life or that or my kids e.g. my kids needed an organ. Edit. I already told Mill no when she asked me directly the reason if I was asking am I the asshole is because even though I made my choice my Mill gaslighted me and I was beginning to wonder if I was being a bad person like she said I was. I guess I'm sensitive and the thought of hurting someone genuinely upset me as I hate to think of anyone in pain, upset. Do not want to even do a test in case I am a match. Not the asshole. I'm not sure if you are aware of this but you could say you will get tested to help diffuse the situation. Then tell the doctor that you are being coerced into testing. No doctor will let you donate an organ if you don't want to, even if you were a match. The doctor will simply state that you're not a match. Edit. I'm seeing a few comments back saying this would make up a liar. It absolutely would not. Donating an organ isn't just about being a biological match, they assess your psychological compatibility too. If you are not 100% willing or certain about donating, or feel coerced then the doctor deems you as an invalid match, which is exactly what OP is. Not the asshole. You have a very good reason not to donate given the risk to you, but even if you didn't, it's your choice. Donation should never be something that's forced. If the whining from Mill gets on your nerves, you can always see the doctor about being tested and tell him that you don't want to be a donor. He would then say either you aren't a match or you're ineligible to be a donor. I've heard many people do that before. You don't have to though. Look, just go to the appointment. Privately tell the people that you don't want to be a donor. They will mark you down as not a match. Because you are not a match, now are you? Because you don't want to do it. And the medical professionals aren't going to make you do it, and if you grudgingly, tentatively, are forced to agree right now, medical professionals don't want to risk you chickening out when the time comes. But the thing is, they will say you aren't a suitable candidate. You aren't the bad guy. You are off the hook. Not the asshole for being unwilling. The operation to donate could have fatal consequences for me, as when I gave birth I nearly died in surgery due to alkalogic reaction to anthostic and complications. Not the asshole. It shouldn't even be a question considering your adverse reaction to anesthesia. Wow. Thanks for replies. My mill has a habit of using emotional blackmail and gaslighting, hence why I went no contact years ago and then LC, low contact only, communicating about bare essentials, e.g. stuff to do with my baby when Mill has her. So it really makes me question whether I AITA or not when she uses these tactics on me, so thanks for telling me I am not and reassuring me that my decision is okay. Not the asshole. Donating organs to someone you love is already a big deal. I wouldn't do for someone I'd gaff about. Not the asshole. I work with people that need organ donations as well as people that donate their organs, and never have I heard someone that needs an organ say, "People are selfish for not getting tested for me." Typically it is people saying things more along the line of, "I can't ask my kids to do that. It's too much for someone with kids to be put up when they have XYZ going on." So your Mill is on a different level. Your husband sounds like a gem. So he told his mommy what you said? You know, they have this great thing to get out of sticky situations. It's called lying. Your guy should have done that and said you got tested. Heck, why would she want your organs anyway? Also, you did the right thing by going no contact. Mill has some serious anger issues. Am I the asshole for telling my family I'm not their financial provider? I'm 19 and currently live with my mom due to health reasons. Despite living with her, I am financially independent and take care of my own things. I buy my own groceries, have my own car, and while she doesn't want me paying rent I help her out as well. I work a lot, so I have a bit of extra money to spend on myself that usually goes back towards food, my dog, or my side hobbies. I own a lot of fancy art stuff, figures, and cosplay costumes that I saved up for and bought myself. I have a decently big family. My mom has 9 siblings, but she's the only one with a stable career. Most of my aunts and uncles cannot keep jobs or don't want to work, so they live off of financial support from my mom. It's not uncommon for family to show up at our doorstep because they need a place to stay for a few days. I always felt they were taking advantage of my mom but never said anything because it wasn't my place until recently. Due to it being holiday season, my family has been coming over a lot more and have gotten more demanding. I started noticing the food I bought and bathroom products going missing. Some of my art supplies and figures got broken because my cousins were playing in my room when I was working. I spoke up about it every time, but they brushed it off, saying I could replace everything or they would pay me back. They never did. It wasn't like it was small things either. Some of the figures they broke cost hundreds of dollars, and I would buy full gallons of milk for myself just to walk out that evening and discover that my cousins drank it all. They also constantly ask for money for food or groceries but then waste it all on other things. The final straw happened last night. I passed a really tough exam and decided to reward myself with takeout from my favorite restaurant. I had my food on the table and went to get a drink only to come back to find my aunt searching through my stuff. She asked why there wasn't enough for everyone, and I told her that was way too expensive. She called me selfish for only buying myself food while they starved, and I told her if she wanted food she could buy it herself. She glared at me but left anyways. She ranted to the rest of my family about how selfish I was, and they all started messaging and calling me saying I'm heartless and need to think about family. They're all struggling and it's unfair for me to waste my money on pointless things if I can't even help out with dinner. At that point I had enough. I reminded them of all the times they stole things from me or broke my stuff without replacing it, and all the money they borrowed that they wasted. I told them I was not their financial provider and I needed to focus on myself. I'm tired of them taking advantage of me, and if they want me to care they can finally pay me back. Now only my mom talks to me, and while she's neutral on the situation she wants everyone to forgive each other because we're family, though I don't see that happening. Am I the asshole? I think you need to move out to get some peace and quiet. Your mom helped. AMD was taken advantage of, her siblings all her life. It is unlikely that will change. If you want your freedom you should move out. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. It's your money, do whatever you want, and your way of spending money is very healthy. Cheers to you. Also try to get your mother out of it by making her live with you, IG? So you can stop anyone firsthand if they try to leech off of her. You did right op, kick them out, they ruined their life and now they are ruining yours. Not the asshole, your family absolutely is taking advantage of your mom and now they're trying to do the same for you. It is beyond fucked up for a grown-ass woman to get pissy at a 19-year-old for not buying her food. Your cousins sound like they're younger than you though, so that's their parents' fault for not replacing her stuff. Not the asshole. Does your mom's house have a basement that can be designed as an apartment or something? That would be the best way to stay close, yet you have your privacy. Use the rent money your mom doesn't accept to create a private space for yourself with a lock and add value to her home. If that's not possible, install a lock on your room door and use it. Store your toiletries in your room instead of the bathroom. Also, Target, Walmart, and Amazon sell lockboxes that you can use to restrict access to small food items and valuables that are in common areas. Not the asshole. Your family doesn't respect boundaries because your mother has never established any with them, and her "I'm going to stay neutral because we're all family" approach shows she will not establish any boundaries. She's their doormat, they know she'll never put them out, so they assume they can take advantage of you the same way. Tell your mother she needs to properly deal with the matter, and if she will not, move out because it won't stop. Not the asshole. I have the same situation going on with my family. I get calls saying I'm selfish and a disappointment to the family because I moved away from my large family. All because I'm doing well for myself. And because I want a small wedding for me and my fiancé. Definitely not the asshole. Sometimes it's important to say enough is enough. Info: whose health is the reason you live with your mom? NTA. They need to grow up and act like the adults they are supposed to be. Also buy a lock for your bedroom so they can't go in it when you aren't there. Would I be the asshole to not sign the birth certificate? Me, M25, and my significant other, F27, are expecting our daughter soon and we have been discussing names and she says that she wants our daughter to have her last name. Context. We have been together for about 2.5 years. I have spoke about marriage before to her and what she thinks about it. She says she isn't ready for it. She comes from a strong Christian family. And is very dependent on them. I also come from a Christian family but am atheist and very self-sufficient and independent. Now she says she doesn't want my last name for our child because we aren't married and things along the line of her religion. I have even given the idea of it being hyphenated so it would include both of our names. She declined. Would I be the asshole to not sign the birth certificate considering that our child doesn't even have my last name? You are the asshole. You don't have to sign the certificate. But your daughter will still take her mother's name, and then your girlfriend is going to take you to court to get your name added to the certificate. Either way, you will lose. Your daughter will still have that name, and you will still be listed as the father. It's just a matter of if you want to do it the easy way, or the harder and much more expensive way. Damn, didn't realize that the kid had to have your last name for you to be its parent signed. Every single mother who has given their kid the father's last name. YTA. Edit. Laughing my ass off. I always saw the top comments getting awards. Y'all, I'm just a random Redditor, I do not need gold. Go give money to real stuff. You are the asshole. Whatever name your child has, they're still your child. Not signing the birth certificate would be petty and childish on top of ineffective. You are the asshole, it's still your child, so sign the certificate. That's very petty to not sign it for that reason. This is about your child now, not about you or your partner. This is the first document that represents your child in her life and you're not wanting to put her father's name on it because you didn't get your way? That's not a great start to fatherhood, I have to say. Hopefully you can turn things around before she comes and you can father from a more selfless mindset with the focus on what's best for her. In 16 years, when daughter grabs her birth certificate to go get her license and asks questions. My first act as your father was to reject you as my daughter because I was angry with your mother over your name. If you are angry with your child's mother, address it with her. Don't drag your daughter and her paperwork into it. You are the asshole. You are the asshole. And maybe this kind of attitude is why she isn't sure about marriage. You are the asshole. You're the father and you know it. And why does a child have to have their father's last name? YWBTA. If it is your child, regardless of the child's last name, sign the birth certificate.